So the truth is simple. We're all different. We're all different from each other. What works for me, the things that worked in my life, have worked in my life, a lot of them might be applicable to your journey. But I think for the most part, what works for me might not necessarily work for you. And what works for you is not necessarily going to work for me. Obviously we do have areas where we can overlap. But guys, no two human beings are the same. We can be similar, but we're not the same. And we'll never be the same. So we're all unique. We all have our own ways of thinking. We all have our own ways of just doing things, of getting things done. And I think most importantly, we all have our own ways of learning. And once we understand that, then we can sort of begin our journey in understanding what is unique to us, what works for us, what things we can employ and we can do that can benefit us, that can get us in the sort of right areas. This is important. So today I just want to break down for you guys the sort of different types of students there are. And I'm not going to use the conventional boxes. I think I'm going to touch on a lot of areas where we can differ, because I honestly believe a lot of us are a combination of a lot of different things. But it's important for you to understand that for yourself. I just present you the information. I help you understand what works best for a specific person. And then you take my information and just apply it in your own life however you want to. There's no template for success, for academic success and for success in life. There's so many ways to achieve success. You need to find the way that works for you. So let's get on it. So what different sort of types of students are there? How do we learn differently? And how can you maximize on our unique learning abilities and our preferred learning sort of methods? So I think first of all, you can learn from hearing and listening. Whether it's in a lecture, whether it's an audio version of something, you really, sort of tend to prefer to hear something, whether it's being explained to you or whether you're sort of hearing content, but you best internalize things by hearing. And, I think I definitely can benefit from sort of internalizing something by hearing, but I think this is more of a secondary thing for me, because I think primary I prefer to read and write and stuff. But as I said, a lot of us are a combination of these. So you need to ask yourself, questions throughout my conversation with you. You need to understand if you align with something that I say. If maybe you prefer to do a specific thing that I chat about. You need to understand that for yourself. So learning by hearing. I think in that line as well, there is some of us who learn by speaking, by sharing information, even by teaching, by interacting with others. So I think, understand for yourself when you study, and I think just try and pick these things up for yourself. When you study, do you read things aloud? Do you say them aloud? Do you speak them aloud? Do you read while talking? Sort of reading out loud. You need to understand that. And also separately as well, you need to understand if you often communicate with people while studying. Do you ask people questions? Do you ask for people's insight? Do you ask for people to explain certain things for you? Or for the lecturer to explain certain things for you? What things do you usually do in order to help you learn, in order to help you better understand? Because I think a lot of the time, right, we often do these things, but we do it subconsciously. So we don't really take note of what we're doing. And I think that's why a lot of us might not have a clear understanding or idea of what we prefer doing while studying. But I think if you can just take a few days, be conscious with what you're doing while studying and what you're doing throughout the year, throughout the semester, then you better understand yourself. You better understand what type of a learner you are. Do you often speak to people while learning? Do you like explaining things to people? Because this is something that works for you. So you need to just build that understanding for yourself. And another type of sort of learner we have is someone who prefers to learn through reading. through engaging with written content. And I think this is my preferred method. This is, I think, first choice for me. Whenever I get in content on first sort of the first version of it, then I like to read. I like to highlight. I like to underline. I like to make small notes on the side, which combines with, the next point that I was going to make. But do you learn best through reading? Do you enjoy reading? Do you absorb information better when you can see it on a slide or on a piece of paper or in a textbook? Or, is that maybe something that you don't prefer as much? You need to understand this for yourself. So in that line as well, there are some people who learn through writing, through whether it's making notes or whether it's reproducing what's in the textbook on their own notes, and I think along with writing, we have people who learn through making diagrams, people who learn through reproducing the work in a creative means, people who like using color. I think to better understand and memorize things, maybe you don't like color. So it's all these little things that you need to understand for yourself. And that's why I always say that I believe there are not specific types of learners. There's just different ways we're able to internalize information, and then we learn best through a combination of all these different things, and the combinations are all different. So understand your combination, understand sort of what works best for you, and I think I'm just going to share a few things that can help you if you're a specific type of learner. Let's say you enjoy learning by listening. You're an auditory learner, so you like hearing what's being said and what the chats are. I think a few things you can do is, I think first off, you can use audio readers. So try take your PDFs that you have or your slides that you have, and I know Word has a system that can read back out what you have. There are some things you can search on the internet, but just try and make audio versions of the things you have. If you need to go through the textbook, just make an audio version of the textbook and then listen to it, but be attentive while you listen. Make notes as well if you need to make notes. If you find that you love lectures, you learn best in lectures, then try and make things as audio as possible for you, and obviously then try attend as many lectures as possible for yourself, and really try and make as much audio, and even just you recording yourself speaking about a specific topic and playing it back to yourself. I think the more you hear things, the more you repeat content, the more you engage with it as well, then the better your chances of succeeding. Guess what? You'll never believe it, but I made a second channel. Yes guys, I made a second channel just chatting all things sort of self-development, and I think helping you on your journey. And I think it's more general content, but specifically is going to help you a lot outside university, into the rest of your life. I just thought, I've provided so much content here in varsity, but there's so much more things. I think the journey is so long. So yes guys, leave a subscription for my second channel as well. Do check out some of the videos there. Very high quality, my standard. And yeah, let's continue with the video. And if you like perhaps reading, if you learn best through reading, and of course then I think a lot of these tend to overlap, the reading and the writing. Often when you learn through reading, it can also include writing as well. That's literally my case 100%. I learn best through reading and through making notes, writing and stuff like that, and engaging with the content. But I think then you need to make as much written content as possible so that you can actually read. You need to, I think even before you go to lectures, go through the material, read the material, be familiar with it. After lectures, consolidate, read the information. Because obviously maybe there was a lot of speaking, maybe that's not something that you resonate to too much, but you want to read. Use as much opportunity as you have to read and to make written content like notes that you can further, just read and stuff like that. So I think you need to make things as easy for yourself. You need to sort of create the content that you want to consume for yourself. I mean, that's a very nice way of looking at it. And I think if you enjoy really conversing with people, chatting to people, and I think asking questions, then consider study groups. consider joining a study group, forming a study group that's obviously conducive and that does help every single person in their own unique way. And really just maximize on this and try study with people as much as possible. I know I tend to enjoy study groups, but I tend to enjoy working along, in others' presence, because that inspires me to continue pushing and working hard and stuff. But you need to see how the study group can benefit you, of course. And I think very important when studying with people, something that we don't consider, you need to, I think, also have a mini understanding of the people around you and how they learn best, and respect this as well. Because let's say you enjoy asking questions, but perhaps someone doesn't enjoy talking too much while they're studying. Perhaps you can compromise and wait for them to finish and then ask them questions when they just have a bit of time and are a bit relaxed and are more open to it. So be aware of these things, of the people around you, and respect these boundaries. I'd say even establish boundaries for your study group. Have an understanding of this is how we do things, this is what we do, we don't do this, and respect that. I think study groups can be very beneficial, but they can also be very detrimental. It comes down to how you use it. So I thought it was important for me to just briefly touch base on this topic. Just give you a brief understanding of, exactly what your preferred sort of way of consuming content is, and maybe just giving you already that mindset, getting you thinking in that direction as to how you can, maximize for yourself. Because it's really all about, I think, and this is why I really do enjoy university, because you're your own person. There's no standardized way to do things. You do things how you want them. So this gives you a chance to really explore yourself, to better understand yourself, and to build this self-image. And then from there you capitalize, and knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you obviously sort of incorporate all the things that work for you and create environments where you can maximize on those things and thus best consume content. Because if you just remain passive, guys, if you're just chilling and you're just going with the wind, you're like, guys, it is what it is, really, whatever happens, I'm gonna just freestyle. You're not really gonna do that well. I mean, maybe you can pass here and there, but you're not gonna reach those heights that you can really reach, and you won't consistently get good academic results. So be active in this, understand how you study, understand what works for you, and then employ tactics to support that understanding. That's the game, guys. That's literally the game. That's it. Making things simple here for you, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've liked it. Obviously, if you have liked it, drop a like. Drop that like. Subscribe to the channel, of course, if you haven't subscribed. Drop me a comment as well. Actually, I'm interested to hear from you guys. What type of a learner are you? How best do you learn? Very interested in that. You guys have heard my sort of things here and there. But until the next one, let's continue on our journey in creating a better world.